Hello everyone. Welcome to today's story. Have you ever had your heart shattered by the one you loved? What happens when you return to find everything changed? Today, Tuna comes back to the place she once called home, only to discover a truth that could tear everything apart. Alex, the man she thought would always be by her side, is now seen with someone else. But is it really what it seems? Or is there a misunderstanding lurking beneath the surface? Can Tuna overcome her fears and trust again? Or is it too late for them? Stick around as we dive deep into this emotional roller coaster, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Let's hit 1,000 followers together and keep the stories coming. You won't want to miss what happens next. Tuna stood in front of the farm gate, her heart beating a little faster as she took in the familiar yet distant landscape. The scent of fresh air and the soft sounds of animals in the distance brought back memories of times long past. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, trying to ground herself, as though exhaling all the doubts and fears that had accumulated during her time away. The peacefulness of the farm surrounded her, but something inside her felt out of place. Everything seemed unchanged, yet it felt so unfamiliar. She stepped onto the ground, her feet brushing against the dirt, as her gaze fell on the animals grazing lazily. Despite the calmness, a quiet unease tugged at her, an unknown discomfort that gnawed at her heart. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. Something had shifted in this place she once called home. As she wandered through the yard, her eyes caught sight of Alex in the distance, working near the garden. He glanced up briefly, and their eyes met for a fleeting moment before he returned to his task. The sight of him, busy, focused, made her heart ache. She had loved him once, so deeply. Yet now she wondered if the love they shared had faded with time, or if she had simply outgrown it. Everything felt surreal. The tranquility of the farm, the animals, the sounds. They all contrasted sharply with the storm brewing in her mind. Was it too late for forgiveness? For a fresh start? Or was she just pretending, clinging to the past, unable to accept the changes that had already happened? Tuna's footsteps faltered as she entered the house, a wave of hesitation washing over her. The walls felt different now, as though they had absorbed all the silence and the years of waiting. She caught sight of Alex again, this time closer, talking to his secretary, with an intimacy that felt too casual, too comfortable for her to ignore. Her heart skipped a beat. They were laughing softly, their voices blending in a way that, to Tuna's ears, seemed unnatural. Her breath caught in her chest as she observed the way Alex placed his hand on her shoulder, the easy familiarity in their gestures. A sudden rush of jealousy, confusion, and betrayal flooded her senses. Was this the reason he hadn't come to find her? Had he moved on, while she had been left to deal with her own demons? For a moment, the room seemed to close in on her, the air thick with uncertainty. She wanted to confront him, to ask, but the words stuck in her throat. Was this all a misunderstanding? Was there another explanation? Or had he truly found someone else, someone who could give him what she couldn't? The minutes stretched painfully as she watched them, the emotions swirling within her, mixing with the old wounds she thought she had healed. But now, standing in the doorway, she was unsure of everything. Of Alex, of herself, and of the future she had once imagined with him. Tuna could no longer keep the questions inside. Her pulse quickened as she walked towards Alex, her feet feeling heavier with each step. He turned to her, his smile faltering slightly as he noticed the change in her demeanor. The warmth that usually filled his eyes was replaced with something unreadable, distant. "Alex," she said, her voice quieter than she had intended. "Is there something you need to tell me?" He looked at her, a flicker of surprise crossing his features. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The space between them grew thicker, filled with unspoken words. Tuna's gaze dropped to his hand, still resting lightly on his secretary's arm, and her stomach churned. She had never thought she'd be standing here, questioning the man she had once loved so deeply. Yet here she was. "I saw you with her," Tuna continued, her voice a mixture of hurt and confusion. "You and your secretary. It looks like you've moved on." Alex's expression softened, and he took a step closer to her, as though reaching for something they had both lost. "Tuna, it's not what you think," he began, his voice low and steady. "She's just a colleague, someone I work with. I never meant for you to see us like that, but there's nothing between us." Tuna's heart clenched, torn between the man she had known and the stranger who now stood before her. "Then why didn't you come to find me when I left?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why did you let me go so easily?" The silence stretched between them, thick with emotion. Alex's eyes softened as he took another step closer. "I didn't want to force you," he admitted quietly. "I thought you needed time, and I thought maybe we were better off apart." Tuna swallowed the lump in her throat. "I didn't ask for that. I never wanted to leave, but you didn't fight for me." Alex reached out, gently cupping her face in his hands. "I'm sorry, Tuna," he whispered. "I should have fought for you." Tears welled in her eyes as she met his gaze, still searching for the truth in the depths of his eyes. She didn't know what to believe anymore. Was this the same man she had loved? Or was he simply the ghost of her past, something she couldn't hold on to? Tuna stood there, frozen, as Alex's hands lingered on her face. The tenderness in his touch felt like a flicker of the past, but it also stirred up the raw wounds she had carefully tried to bury. His apology hung in the air, heavy with regret, but something in her heart felt heavy as well. How could she forgive him? How could she trust the words of someone who had let her go without a fight? "I wanted to come back," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "But I couldn't. I didn't know if you would still be there. I didn't know if you still wanted me." Alex's eyes darkened with guilt. He opened his mouth to speak, but Tuna raised a hand to stop him. Don't apologize again. I can't keep living like this, in limbo, wondering if you're here because you want to be, or because you feel guilty." He stepped back, his face falling as he finally understood the gravity of her words. For the first time, Alex saw that their love wasn't just about him, wasn't just about the space between them. It was about the emotional scars that neither of them had fully healed from. "I don't know what to say," he admitted quietly, his voice breaking slightly. "I've been a fool, Tuna. I thought if I gave you space, you'd find what you needed. But I was wrong. I never should have let you walk away." Tuna closed her eyes, feeling the sting of his words, but also the undeniable ache in her chest. She had wanted him to fight for her, to show that he cared. But now that he was standing here, apologizing, she didn't know if it was enough. She didn't know if she could trust the love they once shared. "I need time," she said softly, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "I need time to figure this out, to understand if we can ever truly go back to what we were." Alex nodded, his face filled with sorrow. "I understand. Take all the time you need, Tuna. I'll be here, waiting." As she walked away, her heart heavy with doubt, Tuna realized that some things, like trust and love, couldn't be rushed. They could only be rebuilt piece by piece in their own time. The days passed in a blur of quiet moments, each one heavier than the last. Tuna spent her time at the farm, her hands busy with tasks that had once brought her comfort, but now felt hollow. The weight of Alex's words lingered in her mind like a constant hum. His apology, his sorrow, the way he looked at her with those eyes that once held so much love. Everything was tangled in a web of uncertainty. She walked through the fields, the golden light of late afternoon spilling over the earth. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows, and for a brief moment, the world seemed to pause. Tuna stopped at the edge of the pond, watching the ripples break across the still surface. The reflection of the trees swayed with the wind, but it was the reflection of herself that caught her attention. She barely recognized the woman who stared back at her. Someone broken, unsure, caught between the past and an uncertain future. The sound of footsteps broke her thoughts. She turned to see Alex walking toward her, his face serious yet gentle, as if he was carefully measuring every step he took. "Tuna," he said softly, his voice almost lost to the rustling leaves around them. "I'm sorry. I know I can't undo what's happened, but I need you to know. I still want us. I want to rebuild this, if you'll let me." Tuna's heart clenched, but the words she wanted to say remained stuck in her throat. She wanted to forgive him, wanted to believe that love could fix everything. But there was a part of her that was terrified. Terrified of being hurt again. Terrified of losing herself in something that wasn't meant to be. "I don't know if I can," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the breeze. "I don't know if I can trust you again." Alex took a step closer, his eyes pleading with her to see the sincerity in his. "I understand, but whatever time it takes, whatever it costs, I'll wait for you. I don't want to lose you, Tuna. Not like this." For a moment, Tuna looked at him, truly looked at him, and she saw the vulnerability that mirrored her own. Could she really let go of her fears? Could she risk her heart again? The silence stretched, and in that moment, Tuna realized that the hardest part wasn't the choice itself. It was the fear of making the wrong one. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew that for now, she had to choose herself before anyone else. "I need more time," she finally said, her voice steady, but her heart uncertain. "Please, give me that." Alex nodded, the sadness in his eyes giving way to understanding. "I'll wait, Tuna. I'll wait as long as you need." As she turned away, the cool evening breeze swept past her, carrying with it the scent of rain on the horizon. The storm was coming, but it wasn't just the weather. It was the storm inside her, the one that would either break her or help her find peace. The following days were filled with an uncomfortable quiet. Tuna kept to herself, allowing the silence of the farm to envelop her, offering a strange comfort that she couldn't quite explain. She spent hours with the baby. The routine of feeding, soothing, and rocking him into sleep, providing a brief escape from the storm in her heart. The world around her seemed to slow, each passing day stretching out in front of her like an endless horizon. But despite the stillness, the doubts remained. The questions she hadn't asked yet lingered in her mind, unanswered and haunting. Was Alex truly the man she once knew? Or had he changed, just as she had? Could they rebuild what they had? Or was the past too broken to repair? One afternoon, as she sat in the garden, the soft hum of bees filling the air, she caught sight of Alex from across the yard. He was bent over the garden bed, hands working steadily as he planted new seeds into the rich earth. There was a calm determination in his movements, a quiet focus that reminded her of the man she had fallen in love with. But something was different now. There was an unspoken distance between them, a gap that neither could bridge just yet. Tuna found herself walking towards him, drawn in by the simplicity of the moment. The world felt smaller here, the tension in her chest easing with each step. "Alex," she called softly, her voice catching in the breeze. He looked up, his eyes meeting hers with a mixture of hope and wariness. "Tuna," he said, standing up slowly. "How are you?" I'm doing better," she replied, her voice steady but not without hesitation. "But I think I've finally realized something." Alex took a cautious step closer, his gaze searching hers. "What is it?" "I've spent so much time thinking about what I want, what I need, but I haven't really asked myself if I'm ready for us. For whatever comes next," she said quietly, her hands folding in her lap. I think I'm still afraid." Alex's expression softened, understanding in his eyes. He nodded slowly, taking another step towards her. "I understand. And I'm not going anywhere, Tuna. I'll be here when you're ready. No pressure, no rush. Just time." She met his gaze, and for the first time in days, she felt a small sense of relief. Maybe it wasn't about rushing toward an answer. Maybe it was about allowing herself the space to heal, to find clarity. "I need more time," she whispered, her heart a little lighter now. "But I'll get there, Alex, I promise." The wind rustled through the trees, carrying with it the promise of change. For now the storm inside her was quiet. But she knew, as she looked at Alex, that the road ahead was uncertain. And that was okay. She wasn't ready to face the future alone, but she wasn't ready to rush into it either. The time to heal was hers, and hers alone. Days passed with a slow, almost imperceptible shift in the air around Tuna and Alex. The farm, once a place of tension and unresolved feelings, became a space for quiet understanding. Tuna found herself in moments of reflection, sitting on the porch, watching the sunset, her mind wandering back to Alex and the love they had shared. Yet, there was no longer any rush to resolve it. There was peace in the waiting, in the time she had taken to reconnect with herself. Alex remained patient, as he had promised. His presence, steady and unwavering, was a constant reminder that some things, some people, were worth the wait. But there were still moments when Tuna felt the pull of doubt. She caught glimpses of their past together, laughter shared under the night sky, whispered promises, and moments of connection that seemed so distant now. Could they return to that? Could they rebuild what had been broken? One evening, as the sun began to dip behind the hills, casting long shadows over the farm, Tuna found herself in the garden, tending to the plants. Her hands, though delicate, had grown stronger over time, and the routine of caring for the earth had become a grounding force. The soil, once barren, now flourished with life, much like the heart she had so carefully guarded. Alex came out to join her, this time without the weight of uncertainty hanging between them. His eyes softened as he approached, and for the first time in a long while, Tuna felt the familiar warmth of connection between them. "I've been thinking," Alex began, his voice gentle but full of emotion, "about everything we've been through. And I don't want to lose you, Tuna. I don't want to live with the regret of never having tried." Tuna paused, meeting his gaze. There was something in his words, something in the way he spoke that made her heart ache. She had spent so much time running from her own fears, from the possibility of loving him again. But now, in this moment, she realized that the fear was no longer as overwhelming. It had less power over her. "I'm not sure if I'm ready yet," she said, her voice steady, but tinged with vulnerability. "But I think I want to try, Alex. I want to give us a chance. I just need to take it one step at a time." Alex's face lit up with a mixture of relief and joy. He stepped closer, gently taking her hand in his. "I'll take those steps with you," he promised, his voice thick with emotion. "We'll take it slow, together." The farm around them seemed to hold its breath, as if the earth itself was waiting for the decision Tuna had made. The breeze stirred the leaves above them, carrying the scent of new beginnings. And as she stood there, hand in hand with Alex, she felt a small spark of hope flicker inside her. For the first time in what felt like forever, Tuna allowed herself to believe in the possibility of a future, uncertain as it may be, but filled with the chance for healing, love, and second chances.
Tuna trở lại trang trại sau một thời gian dài xa cách, mang những cảm xúc lẫn lộn và nỗi lo lắng chưa giải tỏa. Cô phát hiện Alex, người yêu cũ, giờ đang thân mật với trợ lý của mình, khiến cô hoang mang và nghi ngờ về tình cảm giữa họ. Mặc dù Alex giải thích rằng chỉ là mối quan hệ công việc, Tuna vẫn không thể dễ dàng bỏ qua cảm xúc bị phản bội. Câu chuyện xoay quanh sự đấu tranh giữa tình yêu, sự tha thứ, hiểu lầm. Liệu Tuna có thể vượt qua những tổn thương trong quá khứ và tìm lại hạnh phúc bên Alex, hay tất cả chỉ là một vết nứt không thể vá lại?